Going on, guys? Welcome back to the Broad Street Boys. It's just me today. We're going to go straight Phillies. Super excited about this episode. We get to catch up on so much Phillies talk. Obviously, I'm back home. Finals are all over. Going to, get back to doing this pretty often. But I just want to talk about Phillies today. We can talk about Eagles, Sixers, whenever else. But we're just going to do straight Phillies today. Kind of recap the past few months, my thoughts about it. And then hopefully the next time that we do this, we could talk more trade deadline versus and all the more down the road type of ideas that myself have, and possibly if Caleb can hop on as well. So starting off, the Phillies. Phillies are good. Phillies have the best record in all of baseball currently. We just went on a 9-game winning streak. I'm going to talk about if that's legit or not. I'm going to talk about just Bryce Harper in general. Obviously, he's kind of worked out of his slump, but I do want to talk about his slump in general. I obviously got to talk about just pitching in general, bullpen pitching specifically, with Alvarado being out for 80 games, including the postseason. Also, about Aaron Nola, we know, if you've been listening to us, you probably know our stance on Aaron Nola. And then last but not least, just overall, the Phillies' different approach hitting, which is still producing, but at the same time, it's still producing in a different way of scoring. But starting off, so the last 9 games, so Phillies just lost to the A's in a very interesting game, a game that was very winnable, the game that we actually had the lead going into the 8th inning, I believe. But then we blew it, and that's okay. But at the same time, we had some crazy games leading up to that. Now, do I think it's legit? I'm going to say no. We did go against 3 of probably the worst either run organizations or worst teams in the whole league. The Rockies being one of them. The Rockies actually, they are on track to be one of the worst teams ever. And the fact that game 1 was close and you needed to fight back, it was kind of weird. I had a feeling that was going to happen. But then the A's most recently was interesting as well. Because the A's to me are a pretty good team, and I feel like that's a team that could definitely build on something. Like, all their players are pretty young for the most part, and they're pitching solid. And yeah, the A's could be good down the line. But it's funny, I wasn't really yes, it broke the streak, but I wasn't really upset about the loss on Sunday. We actually hit pretty well. Luzardo had a rough few innings, but then all of a sudden battled back. And I'll talk about Jesus Luzardo and how amazing of a pickup he was, and he is, and I think he'll be here for a long time. And we also beat the Pirates a week ago. And the Pirates are just it makes me sad because they are just such a bad team outside of their star pitcher, and Paul Skeens, who he was pleading at the beginning of the year for the front office to do something, and then they do nothing. They fire their coach. Paul Skeens is probably going to win Cy Young, and they're going to do nothing. That actually makes me sad because not that I actively root for the Pirates, but if the game's on and it's a Pirates game, I'm probably going to root for the Pirates. But I am super happy with just everything that the Phillies have been putting together recently. I mean, just looking at the schedule here in the past, so that's 9, 10, and so they've won 10 of their last 12, which is ridiculous. I mean, and to be honest, the fact that we split the Cardinals, who came in on, I think, a 9-game winning streak as well, was pretty great. And we also did pretty well against the Guardians. I think I saw that was our first win against Cleveland in 5 or 6 years. So that's a pretty good win. And we obviously blew out Tampa Bay. But do I really think it's legit? No. I just don't. They played bad teams. Of course they're going to, I would hope that they're going to be bad teams. Teams that aren't even close to us in the amount of money that they've either spent or want to spend. Against teams that are really young, like the Rockies, like the A's, and the Pirates, all of them. So I just it's great, and I'm super happy they're winning, and I'm actually really happy with the way that they're winning, scoring a lot of runs for the most part. Just looking at this here, they scored 9 runs against the A's. They scored 9 runs, 7 runs, 9 runs against the Pirates, and they scored 8 runs once against they scored 9 runs, 7 runs, 9 runs against the Rockies, and then they've scored 8 runs against the Pirates. So they're obviously scoring runs, and they're doing pretty well pitching wise. But I need to see improvement, which kind of leads us into the bullpen aspect with this team as well, because when May 18th rolled around and the Paul Skeens versus Mick Abel started, it was like had so much hype. Mick Abel, this dude that I feel like I've been hearing. I think I was on the record saying this during the podcast. I'm sick of hearing about Mick Abel, and I want to see Mick Abel. And Mick comes up on that May 18th because Nola has an ankle injury or whatever it is, which is an ankle injury. Let's be honest, he just needs a break, which is fine. I'll talk about him in a second. But so much hype. There's like the best pitcher in the league versus one of our best pitching prospects, not Painter level, obviously, but probably our second one. So it's between him and McGarry. So super exciting. And then the news, Jose Alvarado, pretty much out for the year. I'm viewing it as out for the year. Yes, it's 80 games. He can come back in late August, I think. But then he can't play the postseason. So like, it definitely puts the Phillies in a weird spot because we're kind of lucky with Romano doing well. Because we all know his struggles in the beginning. He was atrocious. But he's been much better recently. I will say right now, he's honestly saved us a few games. But that slider is working too. He is just pitching. It is awesome. And he's mainly like that slider fastball guy. But if that fastball gets below 95, it's a meatball, and they're going yard. So which happened on many different occasions. So people were initially skeptical. I wasn't, because up to that point he actually had like 7 straight no run innings, and he looked really good. But yeah, so it's just a very, very interesting bullpen out there, because I mean, you got really good players. You got like, I actually really like what's his name? I like Tanner Banks a lot. I think his stuff has so much movement. I think he's a really solid piece. Of course, I like Matt Strahm. 2 guys from the left side. Matt Strahm is also weird because Matt Strahm doesn't hit that, those corners. Then again, they're going yard, which is just it's a lot for me. But a dude that we need to see step up just in general in that bullpen is Orion Kerkering. Orion Kerkering, I'm sick of thinking about him as a kid. I'm sick of thinking like, oh, he's super young coming in. Maybe he'll do well. Like, no, you need to step up, buddy. Like, you need to step up now. And that 3.72, you've been much better recently. Like, if I just look at his log right now, which I'm going to bring up real quick, his log he's been better, right? He actually hasn't let up a run, like an earned run, since May 6th, which is great. But he started off the year so bad. Everything is down the middle. And I feel like I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of trust. And I need to see more, even though he is trending up, which I didn't actually realize until right now. And another dude that I'm not super like a big fan of is Joe Ross. Joe Ross was very funny because Joe Ross went from probably one of our more reliable guys about 2 weeks ago when they were in Cleveland, or even before that. Like he had a run where he didn't let up any runs for like 6 or 7 games, and then he's fully fallen off a cliff. So we need the other Joe Ross back, because his ERA is now to 4.6. Yeah, so I'm looking at his thing right now. He's got four earned runs in his past 5 games, which is not great. But leading up to that, he was great. So he's definitely still got it in. I just need to see it more, especially from that right side. So I mean, Caleb and I will probably talk about this in another episode, but we need to look for different options. Like, again, love Romano, and I love what he's been doing recently, and I need to acknowledge that. But we need some help out there, whether that's Ryan Helsley, whether that's another arm from another team, maybe someone like Fairbanks from like the Rays, who's a dog, someone who can just be the end of the bullpen and can just lock in and get some outs. That's what we need. Another dude that I'm actually not really minding. So this is a player that I haven't really told anybody this. I actually like Carlos Hernandez. And before you log off, let me tell you why. Carlos Hernandez has great stuff. And the fact that he's throwing 98, 99 on every fastball, I feel like there's some potential there. And he's also got a knuckle curve. He's got like a knuckle curve, a changeup, and then like another pitch. This dude's got 3 or 4 pitches that are really good. It's just, I saw a graph the other day. It is literally, it shows the box, and everything ends up right down the middle, or middle cut and up a little high. So that's why he struck me. and it's so funny because I'm looking at his log right now. It's either he lets up either one run or no runs, or he lets up three, three, two, and like others. Like it's a weird like difference. Um, but yeah, like this is a dude that if he starts finding like corner, I think he could be a super huge help. Um, and he needs to find some confidence. He needs to find some confidence because his stuff is good. I mean, me personally, I see it. Like you're looking at his stuff, and if I tell you in taking ERA out of it, if I tell you right now that the Phillies have a guy in the bullpen that there's 98, has a gross knuckle curve, has a changeup that like a wipeout changeup, and then one other pitch, and you'd be like, oh, like I'm totally in. But then I show you that graph, you're like, oh, everything ends up right down the middle. If he could fix that, I think Carlos Hernandez could have a really big impact throughout the rest of the year. That's just my opinion. But he definitely needs to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, and the Phillies honestly have options. I've again gone on the record. I love Ranger Suarez, and I don't think this will happen. But I think Ranger should go to the bullpen. And obviously they won't do this because this is his contract year, and he's now a Boras client. So then Scott Boras is going to put more money, and then bullpen, as we know, bullpen arms don't get as much money. So to stick Ranger there, it would not only cost him like monetary wise, but it would also cost him a lot of innings. But at the same time, it could also help him preserve his arm. But the only thing is, like, if you put him in there, there's a not a low chance, but it definitely lowers his chance of coming back because you kind of like not salvage, but like kind of reduced his value in that he's now a bullpen guy. But I'm not even saying that to make sure that he stays on our team or whatever, or like lower the amount of money that he's making. But Ranger Suarez, as we've seen in the playoffs, has such a slow heartbeat, and it is so clutch and is so ready for the moment. I mean, he was the guy that came in for David Robertson in the San Diego series. He was the guy in the Mets series that I was told that he wasn't good again, and then that he was still hurt, but then worked through 2 or 3 bases loaded that he did to himself, bases loaded jams with one or no outs, and worked through all of them. That's the type of guy that I feel like is perfect for a closer. Perfect. And especially with Alvarado going down, who's a left-handed pitcher, having another gross left-handed pitcher with 6 or 7 pitches like Ranger Suarez has, like, how do you not want him in the bullpen? You know, that's just my opinion. But yeah, and then we also have so this is also an idea, especially if Andrew Painter comes up. If Andrew Painter comes up and produces, like truly produces, then we're not going to have enough spots for somebody. Somebody's going to get kicked out. Why not strategically kick somebody out so they can be used in high leverage, high use moments that hopefully like we can re-sign him for good money. So that's just my opinion. Another guy that's actually surprisingly pretty good in the bullpen is Taijuan Walker, which you wouldn't, if I told you that, but in the beginning of the year, you'd be like, Taijuan Walker, like tragic Walker, like nobody would say that, but he's been amazing. He's been awesome. He's been really reliable. He's been a really nice, like 2 or 3 inning, like innings eater guy, crushing it. But the long man, it seems like his spirit's up as well. Look, I'm actually looking at it right now. He's got below 3 ERA. He's doing much better than what he did before. So that's somebody that I think that if he keeps improving in the bullpen, that you could stick him there for a really good long man. So that's my thought. And so we also have, here's the thing that I'm confused about with the Phillies. And I know it's because of money. Before I say this, I know it's because of I don't really get why our reluctance to bring people up and to send people down, or our reluctance to bring people up and cut people. You did it to Cody Clemens, and obviously Cody Clemens is a good enough player. Do you see him on the Twins? Why don't you do it at all, pitching-wise? Obviously, starting pitching is tougher, and I think the only dude that's actually going to make a difference if not on the team right now, so starting pitching-wise, is probably Andrew Painter, especially if he produces when he comes up. Because that guy he's going to be a generational Phillies pitcher. Just wait. But like obviously, like we had Mick Abel come up and he crushed it for 6 innings. Like for some reason I didn't realize how gross his curveball was. The movement on that pitch is just amazing. He's also got a slider that he pulls out sometimes, and then his fastball as well. And I mean, again, it's the Pirates. I know I mentioned this. It's the Pirates. I know. However, I will say, like, he looked really good. He was hitting corners, he was getting out of jams, he was putting himself in jams, but at the same time they were just like singles, like stolen base, whatever. Um, got a bunch of jams. 84, 83 pitches going into this, coming out of the sixth. That's a really nice outing for me. And Mick Abel, correct me if I'm wrong. Mick Abel has great, in my opinion, great bullpen stuff. Mick Abel has that like 98, 99, 97 fastball. He's got a ridiculous curveball and he's got an amazing slider. Um, that really speaks bullpen to me. 3 pitches is bullpen to me, especially if you could locate well, like he did in his one start. So that's somebody that I think could make an impact. If a dude like Carlos Hernandez keeps stinking it up, or if somebody else starts stinking it up again, like Joe Ross, like maybe you should just not cut him, but cut him, and then see what Mick Abel can do out of the bullpen. Obviously, he can pitch, like you've seen it, Rob. Another guy that or actually 2 more guys that could be interesting in that bullpen is Griff McGarry would be an interesting idea. Young guy starting pitching, but also has bullpen stuff along with Christomat. I think his name is Nibble Christomat. He's been amazing for the Iron Kings, like amazing. And the fact that he hasn't even got a shot is very interesting. I just something I'm pointing out. Like maybe this is all wrong. I'm just speculating, but I don't really get the reluctance to bring these younger guys up in the case that somebody like Joe Ross starts really sucking, or if the ERA for Hernandez keeps going up. Like, it's got to get to a point where we're trying to win a championship, and if we're trying to do new things, then let's do them now in May. So then if they don't work, then you just get somebody else. But yeah, so that's all I'm going to say about the bullpen. I know there's a lot, but who cares? Another thing I would like to talk about as well is Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, as we all know about, yeah, he had a solid 2 or 3 week stretch where he was awful. Swinging out of his shoes, trying to do too much. I think, in my opinion, when that entire thing, I love Bryce Harper with all my heart. Before I say this, like with all my heart, he fully changed his entire organization, and allowed everybody to come here, and he was like the stepping stone. But I think when he goes into a slump, I think he almost puts more pressure on himself in comparison to us putting pressure on him. What I mean by that is, like, I don't know if everybody else is the same way, but Harper can go on a 2 or 3 week stretch of not doing very well, and everybody be like, "It's okay, it's Bryce Harper. Like he'll get over it eventually," which he actually did. His average is up to 267 or something like that. So when, at least for me and for a bunch of people that I know, like nobody was really like concerned about Harper. Like we all knew that he was going to come out of it. He's Bryce Harper. He's Bryce Harper in Philadelphia can do no wrong. Let's be totally real here. But I feel like he puts a lot of internal pressure on himself, which I don't love. Not only for the baseball player, but also for the person himself. He puts a lot of pressure mentally on himself, and I feel like that almost makes the drought even worse, and the slump even worse, if that makes sense. And I feel like he's doing that a lot this past, slump that he kind of went in. He's working out of his now. Obviously not hitting as many home runs, but at the same time, like we haven't really needed him to hit as many home runs, and I'll talk about that in the approach idea that I have as well. But I will say, now that he is back and producing, I love Bryce Harper's best when he goes to all fields, and he is best when he's not trying to absolutely destroy a ball to prove a point. And I feel like recently he has been doing that beautifully. He's just been hitting the balls where it's being pitched, taking it to left field, whether that's to score a run, get on second, do whatever. I've just been really impressed with his approach recently in comparison to what it was, where he was actually pressing so much that he was swinging at everything. And usually he swings at a lot, like we know, but like I feel like he was swinging out of his shoes every single time. And when he wouldn't connect, when he would swing for his pitch, he would start cussing himself out like in his head. And I feel like there's a big mental game with Bryce Harper, and I want him to know. I mean, he'll definitely not see this, but I want him to know that he like. We know you're going to work out of it. Like, we know that. Like, we believe in you. We know that you're Bryce Harper, and we know that you're going to work out of it. And I know that we all know that he's in his head a lot. But from us, from the fan perspective, like, we know. Like, you're good. So that's something that kind of leads into my next idea about the different types of approaches that like at the plate. I mean, with the Phillies, and it's very interesting to me. And I think people were initially annoyed, including myself. I was. Where everybody was like, "Wow, the Phillies are kind of not doing great to start the year." Blah 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 blah. They're not hitting as many home runs. They're not scoring as much. They're relying on starting pitching again. We're running it back. All these doubts, whatever. Now I'm starting to love it. I would, and I would hope other people are too. The Phillies, to be known. I'm looking at stats here, and I'm not one to just go strictly off stats because I think stats are one aspect to look at when comparing, but it's definitely something that will catch your eye. Phillies are third right now in all of the major leagues in batting average with a 261 batting average. If you told me that 2 or 3 months ago, I would laugh at you. This team hits home runs. That's what I thought coming into this year. But then Kevin Long, obviously, like the fans pleaded for it, but I think Kevin Long really emphasized just get on base, get a hit, because as much fun as it is, and as they were in the World Series run, the NLCS run, and the NLDS run. The NLDS run against the Mets was not very fun, but they rely so heavily on the long ball that whenever they wouldn't hit like 2 or 3 home runs, they'd lose the game. And we saw that in the Mets series. Think about it. In that first game, our only run was a Kyle Schwarber leadoff home run. Like that was game one, and then we lost. It was like 2-1 or 3-1 or whatever it was. We lost. Game two, we won, but we go down 3-1? I think it was. Yeah, it was 3-1. Harper home run, and then it's 3-2. Castellanos next pitch, I think next pitch, home run, 3-3. And then you're like, oh my gosh, yay, stop, double, take the lead, whatever. And then, but to get back in that game, we needed the home run. And then in New York, we got like no home runs, and then we lost both games, obviously. So I think that series was really when the Phillies were like, wow, we can't just hit home runs. Like we need to use the whole field, work great at bats, wait for our pitch, and even if we swing and it's not our pitch, just drive it out. Just drive it. It doesn't matter. Take that bottom hand and just drive it. It does not matter where it goes. If it's in play, it's in play. And they're striking out way less. Even though they're actually 11th in home runs. That number has actually increased big time ever since we've played these bad teams. But before, we were like 23rd in home runs, and it was weird. We were winning kind of, but at the same time, like everybody was confused. I was confused. I was like, we're not hitting any home runs. It's just Kyle Schwarber hitting home runs. It's like it was weird. And now it's still Schwarber hitting home runs, but like Turner had one in Colorado. Turner had a few in Sacramento. It's not Oakland, Sacramento. And Kepler hit one in Sacramento. So they're starting to hit more home runs and score more runs in general. But yeah, they're actually hitting way more doubles as well. They're actually 7th in slugging, which is great. And so like all these offensive numbers are great. And something I think the biggest thing that jumps out at me is the on base percentage just as a whole. And I feel like on base percentage kind of tells you a story on how this team is doing, especially if you look at it from year to year to year. Obviously, the Phillies on base percentage the last 2 years wasn't great. There's a lot of Schwarber. It was a lot of people that would walk. A lot of Hoskins. Back in the day. But they're actually third in on base percentage in the entire league, which is, again, if you told me this 2 or 3 months ago when the season started, I would laugh at you because I'd be like, they're like usually like 11th, 10th, 9th ish in that, maybe even lower. So the fact that they're always getting on base is the reason why we have the best record in the entire major leagues. So, there's just some stats just to shoot at you. It's just things that are very interesting to me about this team because it's so different. Like everyone's like, oh, they're running it back. Like it hasn't worked the last few years. Like yada yada yada. This Brandon Marsh guy sucks. He doesn't work great at bats. He has recently. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. Brandon Marsh has been great recently. Ever since he came back. Johan Rojas is just fast. Johan Rojas is a very funny player to me. I mean, we all know that the defensive, like maestro that he is, but I feel like it's flipped almost, especially to start the year. Start off the year, he couldn't, it was weird. He couldn't really track a ball, but he was also hitting. So you're like, this is flipped. Like this shouldn't be like this. And then Marsh went down, and he wasn't very good. Marsh. So he started playing Rojas more, and then it kind of evened out a little bit. But very interesting. Like that center field is going to be a spot where they're going to try to get someone at the deadline. Where they're going to bring someone up like Justin Crawford or something like that. I mean, I actually don't see Crawford coming up, but definitely something to think about. But yeah, I'm trying to think of something else. But that was kind of a pretty good recap, I feel like, of the past, week and a half / first few. Castellanos the dog. I'm going to run through the whole. Kepler has been okay. Caleb and I are going to talk about some ideas, especially with possibly replacing Kepler with a familiar friend. Stay tuned for that. I thought about this before it came out too, because he was hitting pretty well. I think you know where I'm getting with this. Harper talked about him. Trey Turner has been much better. I'm known to be a Trey Turner hater, especially around my friends and family. Like just a lot of money for a dude with no personality. That's all I gotta say. But at the same time, I will admit he's doing much better, both on base percentage and he's hitting home runs again, which is cool. Especially recently. That home runs recently, by the way. He hit one in Colorado, one in Sacramento. So that's what I mean. Before that, he was hitting none, and he was just getting hits, which is fine. Like I don't care, but he's also he's just not great defensively, and all this stuff. I'm not going to say anything, but that's our shortstop. Bryson Stott has been a dog ever since we moved him up. Caleb and I have been saying this since the beginning that we've started this podcast, to move Bryson Stott up to the leadoff hitter. No, it's not the sexiest idea. No, Bryson Stott doesn't have that name that Kyle Schwarber or Trey Turner have. No, he doesn't have the name. But Bryson Stott is a professional hitter. All that dude does is get on base, and it's something that I love watching. And his at bats, it's always at least a 4-pitch at bat. I cannot even tell you the last time that he's got out, that he's at least struck out with 3 pitches. I can't even tell you the last time that happened. But Caleb and I have been pleading for this, and the fact that it's actually happening and it's working is it's time. It's time. It's Bryson Stott's time. Love the guy, love the personality, love the dude. So big fan of Bryson Stott. And then third base is interesting because Bohm, as we all know, Bohm is so hot or cold. He's doing a little better now, but he was definitely not good at the start of the year, but he's been okay. And I think we need a new catcher, which Caleb might talk about next time, because I don't want to make this episode too long. Cause I can talk about JC or Mewtwo all day. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave you guys off. Next episode with Caleb and I, or it's just me, who knows. We're going to talk about the future, some trade deadline ideas, whether that's for, position players or it's for the bullpen. We have some ideas, believe me. We have thought about this and talked about it. Caleb and I are actually going to go down to Citizens Bank Park within this next week, so we will report of the vibes that we feel. So we're excited for that. But we will definitely get on that ASAP. We'll talk about everything in the future, and it'll be a fun episode. But thank you guys so much for listening to me today. Always we have all of our stuff on. I created the website. I'm trying to blog once a week about whatever. I just blogged about Ace Bailey. Hopefully, I'll do a Sixers podcast sometime soon. Nothing really happening with the Eagles. I kind of already did an Eagles one. I believe as well. So that's fun. Like everything coming up here. The OTAs are actually today. They start today for the Eagles. The Eagles are starting to ramp up, and the off season is coming up for the Sixers. So I'm excited to talk about that because I love my Sixers. This team is frustrating, but I love my Sixers. But make sure to check out the blog, check out the Instagram. I'm trying to post a little bit more on TikTok now that I have more time. Check out everything. All the socials are in the website that I have linked on everything. So check that out. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace. I will see you later. Go Phils, and I'll talk to you later.